It's fall in Clemson, South Carolina, where autumn hues blend with tiger orange on a college football Saturday. Clemson's stellar season has been sparked by quarterback Taj Boyd and a band of dynamic playmakers that fuel a thrilling offense.
It's explosive, it's dynamic, you've got athletes in space, and that's the one thing we talk to Taj about at all times is you don't have to do it all by yourself. Get the ball to your athletes and let them make the plays.
Today, Virginia Tech comes to town with their own title dreams and payback on their mind. It's the ACC on ESPN. Last year, Clemson defeated Virginia Tech twice, including a victory in the ACC championship game. Today, it's a critical contest for the title hopes of both teams. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick along with Ed Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Janine Edwards will join us shortly. Clemson comes into this game 5-1, mostly because of their electric, high-powered offense, averaging better than 41 points a game. And the amazing thing about it, they're doing it without much production at all from their All-American wide receiver, Sammy Watkins.
And it's amazing when you think about Watkins, who was maybe the best player in college football the first half of last season, came into this year suspended in the first two ball games for an off-field drug arrest. Then he got a stomach virus before they played Boston College, missed that game. He's finally getting healthy, and you feel like they may start trying to take the top off of defenses with Watkins,
right,
and that could happen against Virginia Tech, who's really struggling oddly on defense this year under Frank Beamer.
Well, all of the preseason optimism that Virginia Tech had has faded a little bit because of 3 losses, but they are still alive in the ACC Coastal Division. What they can really use is a signature win, and a win at Clemson would qualify.
If they don't win today, I'm not sure they can win their side of the ACC. And you're starting to feel like a signature win is needed for Logan Thomas. Thomas, a tall, big receiver who throws a wonderful ball, and he's starting to creep up those NFL draft board kind of rankings, but he hasn't had a great game on a big stage. You don't get much bigger than an ACC game in Clemson where both teams are in the title hunt. It's time for Logan Thomas to have his signature win.
Today is Military Appreciation Day at Clemson. The Tigers will be led onto the field by Daniel Rodriguez. Yes, he is now a Tiger wide receiver, but Rodriguez has been honored with a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star for his actions 3 Octobers ago on a day of intense fighting in Afghanistan. Should be a great ball game on a beautiful afternoon. Virginia Tech and Clemson from Death Valley coming up. Back at Clemson, South Carolina, part of the ACC Sportsmanship Initiative, the pregame handshakes. And we have a chance to check in with Janine Edwards. Janine.
Well, Mike, it's like giving up your well-worn, comfortable baseball glove and getting a new one. That's how Virginia Tech quarterback Logan Thomas described working with usual guard and now backup center Michael Vi all week because their center for the last 4 years, Andrew Miller, is out with an injury. Thomas told me he spent an exorbitant amount of time with Vi this week, just talking him through things. He said he's got to think about it a little bit more. He doesn't snap it as fast. The ball comes out a little bit too low. And yes, they have had some missed snaps this week, so he's been talking him through it. But Mike and Ed, this is definitely something that bears watching during the game.
Thank you, Janine. And coaches will always tell you, we don't want our players thinking, we want them playing fast. When you think, it slows you down.
And I have made that transition from guard to center. And I went through 2 spring practices and an entire fall before I was asked to snap in a game. Via comes into this game after playing Duke last week and having to come in for Miller, and now gets to deal with this noise. I think there's going to be at least 1, if not more, snaps on the ground today for Virginia Tech.
And on top of that, that offensive line is very thin, very beat up. Frank Beamer has been the man in Blacksburg for 26 years now. He's won 10 games each of the last 8 years. Overall, he's tied for 7th on the all-time win list with Tom Osborne. Dabo Swinney has his team right in the middle of the ACC race. In his 5th year as head coach, they still need some help if they're going to win the division.
But they got some help last 2 weeks ago against NC State. Dabo Swinney talked about leaving the Georgia Tech win, going home, and his whole family's there watching the ball game, said it felt like he played 2 games. So Clemson, with that loss by Florida State 2 weeks ago down in Raleigh, back in the ball game. Should say up in Raleigh.
Brooks Abbott has it teed up at the 35, waiting deep. Sammy Watkins, Jerron Brown. Watkins can take it to the house anytime he touches it. What a perfect day for a football game. Watkins at the 3. Gets to the outside, has some room to run. Sammy Watkins out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Alonzo Tweedy made the tackle. Here's Taj Boyd, the championship MVP last year in the conference title game against Tech. Just set a career high in passing yards against Georgia Tech, 3 short of 400. He is the ACC leader, averaging better than 290 yards passing per game. And Boyd wants to throw on first down, under pressure, and down he goes at the 21-yard line, and that's what Virginia Tech has been missing. Pressure on the passer, and it's Luther Maddie.
Maddie, a guy who is back from an ankle injury, played for the first time against Duke, and somebody that they think really gives them something in the middle there. That was a fantastic move on the right guard, just a whip block.
Go to a wildcat formation, and it's Ellington taking the direct snap. And he runs it out to the 30. Ellington leads the ACC in rushing yards. Taj Boyd leads the ACC in passing yards. And their standout other wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, leads the ACC in receiving yards.
Hopkins may be the best. He's, I think, been, if not the best, one of the 1 or 2 best receivers in the country in the first half of the season. And now we're just mentioning him because of how electric Watkins is. This offense is loaded, to say the least.
3rd and 12, Boyd's back in. They got him again. 2 sacks on the opening possession, and there is James Gale, who came in as the sack leader for this ball club with 3, but he had 6.5 a year ago and was a dominant pass rusher. The defensive line has done very little this year until this series. And 2 sacks in 3 plays.
And that's as physical as I've seen Gale. Watch the film against Duke. He just wasn't as physical as he was at times last year. That time he really attacked the chest of Gifford Timothy, the right tackle, and pushed him into the quarterback.
35-yard punt, no return. Because of inexperience and injuries around him, Logan Thomas's numbers are down from last year when he set a single-season total offense record, but he is still a very dangerous performer. They would like to see him rip off a couple of big runs in this game.
And in the words of Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, he said, we just need to cover better. That's been a problem for Clemson. They haven't gotten much pressure from their front 4, and they've been burnt for some long throws in their secondary.
J.C. Coleman is the running back. He gets the ball. There's the lateral to Roberts. Flanker around, and Roberts down to the Clemson 41. They've made some big plays, and Clemson has given up more big plays than anybody. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Marcus Davis, 4'3", in the 40, 6'4", 230 pounds. He can stretch the field. Gale, we've already seen his impact. They need Gale to play up to his ability. This guy has next-level NFL ability. He hasn't quite been playing that way so far this year.
Clemson shows blitz. They come with 5. The pass complete to the sideline. It's going to pick up about 8. Dyrell Roberts made the catch. You have to respect his speed, laying off of him a little bit, and he completed the pass. Darius Robinson, the corner, was back in coverage.
And Roberts, a dynamic guy that Logan Thomas finally has. Roberts missed most of the last 2 seasons. He was banged up with a thigh bruise earlier in the year. You can see Steinspring, Brian, the offensive coordinator, Michael Kane, the play caller, trying to get him involved.
2nd and 3. They run it straight up the middle with J.C. Coleman, the freshman, only 5'8", but pretty strong with 192 pounds on that frame.
And as you're tuning in and you maybe don't know a ton about Clemson, offensively as good or better than any team in the country, both from a schematic standpoint and also with the level of play. They also have a very good offensive line. The flip side is they have a very young, inexperienced, and thinking defense. You'll see guys kind of going the wrong way, and Brent Venables, they're doing the best that they can to get these young players out of their heads and out of their own ways, but they haven't been able to solve that quite yet.
Bring out the sticks, and they're going to be that much short. To emphasize your point, Ed, Clemson 97th in total offense in the nation out of 120 teams. But in terms of big plays, runs, and overall big plays, those are plays of 25 yards or more. They're 120. They are dead last in both categories.
And if you're 3rd and short, and I think you're in 4-down territory just outside of field goal range, why wouldn't you just go ahead and take a shot right here, and then you'd be able to go for it on 4th down?
Thomas is under center. Quarterback keeper, as big as he is, he's not a power runner.
Yeah, just too conservative of a call here. And now you go for it again. I think you still have to go for it. You're right on the edge of the range of Cody Journal. And the answer here is 3 points is not going to win this game against Clemson. Your struggles on defense let you know your offense is going to need to score 35 or 40.
Lost almost 2 yards on that last attempt. They're out to go for it. And Logan Thomas now takes off and lunges forward for the 1st down. Excellent 2nd effort to get it. They had him stopped.
And this is one thing that the coaches have worked very hard with Logan Thomas on, is when you decide to run, just be decisive. If he wasn't decisive on this run, this is a 2 or 3 yard loss in Clemson's ball. But immediately he was looking for Roberts on a hitch, but it didn't come open, and he immediately saw it wasn't open and ran. Nice play by Thomas.
Josh Watson, a defensive tackle, only outweighs him by 25 pounds, and Watson is 285, so that tells you how big Logan Thomas is.
And that's why you just need him to be decisive. He's fast, but he's not very quick. In tight spaces, he has long strides, so he has to be very decisive. But once he gets going, he can run with almost anybody on the field. He's just not quick in those tight spaces.
Fake to Coleman. Pass complete to the backup receiver, Corey Fuller, and Corey Fuller takes it for 29. One of the most improved players on this ball club, the brother of their best defensive back. And he is one of 4 Fuller brothers. As soon as they get the youngest one in next year, will have played for Virginia Tech.
The youngest Fuller has committed early to come play defensive back at Defensive Back University.
And he may be the best of the whole bunch.
We'll wait to see on that. His other brother played for the Titans for 6 years.
Jernell with the point after. And what a start for Virginia Tech. Exactly what they needed.
And you see why the NFL scouts love Logan Thomas. What a beautiful throw. And finished by an excellent block by Marcus Davis right there at the goal line for 6.
Well, we told you Virginia Tech's strength on offense had been big plays. And the Achilles heel for the Clemson defense really has been big plays. Dead last in the country of plays 25 yards or more. They just gave up one for 29. Now, those are backbreakers.
File that under something that's not going to break.
Yes. Watkins and Brown are deep. Watkins this time driven to the back of the end zone. And they'll start from the 25. Our first chance today to check in with Robert Flores.
Hey, Mike, Taco Bell studio update. Texas A&M capping off a 12-play, 75-yard drive. Christian Michael punches it in from in close, but they missed the point after. Still, number 18 Texas A&M leading LSU at home 6-0. Mike.
Robert, thanks very much. Clemson will start from its own 25. Boyd has Ellington behind him. And Ellington on the option play will take it to the 30. This Virginia Tech defense, for one of the few times that we can remember, has been vulnerable all year, only 55th in the country, giving up a lot of yards on the ground too, which is not the identity of Bud Foster's team. But boy, they're being a lot more aggressive today. James Gale led the charge. They're really coming after anybody in that Clemson backfield.
And the shocking part about these numbers is most of the front seven returned. They lost Tariq Edwards, which was a big deal at linebacker. He should be back today. But
Watkins on the completion just has enough for a first down. Antoine Exum got him. One of the strange things they're doing, Ed, they're playing so much man-to-man, and if your corners are going to play man-to-man against these guys, it's going to be a long day.
And Bud Foster has to do that. He likes to play zone defense, but the defense coordinator for Virginia Tech, because of the struggles of the front seven, has to bring more people around the box, so to speak, for run plays like that, because you mentioned that Virginia Tech's had struggles against the run. In the years past, they've been able to defeat the blocks with their front 6 or 7, even if you spread them out. That has not been the case this year. So Bud Foster has had to bring more people, i.e. man coverage, so you're not losing bodies to zone in the secondary up around the line of scrimmage.
Boyd after the play fake. Back shoulder throw, complete to Hopkins. Down to the 40. Beautiful pattern, beautiful throw. Let's go to Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike and Ed, you are exactly right about Bud Foster. He was telling me right before the game they have been working so hard to bring more pressure, and he said our linebackers are the ones that have got to get more involved, especially in play action. He said that's what we did last week, and that's what we're going to do again today.
But Janine, there's nothing you can do about a pattern that is run that well and a pass that is thrown like that. You're trying to run stride for stride with somebody.
And you are.
Yeah, and he stops. You take one step and the pass is complete.
Especially Hopkins. And it'll be interesting to see with DeAndre Hopkins what he kind of tests out with his 40 time and stuff when it comes time for him to go to the NFL. But as far as body control, I don't know that there's a player in the country that has the body control of DeAndre Hopkins.
Taj Boyd over the middle, too high, and it's caught for an interception. Michael Cole lying flat on his back. Are you kidding?
Well, Boyd overthrows one, and he'll do this as gifted as Boyd is as a quarterback. And I don't think that this ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage, because it certainly floats. Yeah, the tip of the ball got up. That ball floated. And Hopkins doing the best he can, but he's running full speed. He can't stop and jump. What a fortuitous tip for Virginia Tech.
Michael Cole laying on his back. He said, just drop it right here. I got it.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by the all-new Honda Accord. It starts with you. And AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
Military Appreciation Day at Clemson.
That's not how you got to the game today? You didn't get the helicopter out?
No. No, with the traffic jam we were in, a Huey would have helped. But what a start to this game. Virginia Tech will start from its own 35-yard line. Great protection for Thomas. Throws the bomb down the middle, some contact, no flag. Intended for Marcus Davis, but he was double-teamed.
So watch Michael Cole, the bottom left of your screen, as this ball is tipped. He was playing the middle safety. He had spun back to his left, and as he was coming back to his right, his feet got tangled, and he was on his way to the grass as he caught that ball. If that ball is thrown accurately, because Cole was out of position and it was a short post route, that could have been a touchdown if DeAndre Hopkins breaks the tackle of the corner.
Instead, it turned into Christmas in October. Coleman got some speed, gets to the outside, cuts it up, knocked out of bounds to the 20. They'll need about 3 on third down. He's another one of these young men that came out of high school early so he could enroll in January. That made him available for spring practice. And if you don't get that, it's very likely you're going to be redshirted.
Especially for a 185-pound running back who has to figure out how to block 240-pound blitzing linebackers. And this young man, because of that time and because of the fall, has started to really gain confidence. Had a breakout game against Duke and just got away with a little shuffle right there before the play.
Thomas needs 3. Fighting for extra yards. Got close. He's right at the sticks.
And didn't get much help from his freshman running back to his left. Coleman went out there to try to block Shuey, the middle linebacker, and didn't get a whole lot done.
Shuey got to start today. He's been playing very well and fighting for extra playing time.
And watch the J.C. Coleman going out on 33. Shuey gets knocked back. You don't want a 185-pounder going against a 240-pound linebacker. You'd want him to cut block. So when they go back and look at the film, they'll say, go as hard and fast as you can. And Logan Thomas with another great second effort first down. But you want a 185-pound back cutting those linebackers on a sweep.
Funny thing about Coleman in the spring, he was 176, and they said he stood no chance against the blitzing linebacker. I say, son, you want to play, you got to gain 10 pounds.
And he's fine running the ball because he's not small. At 5'8" and 185 pounds, you're actually wide enough and you can take it. But it's just the physics of a 240-pound linebacker in your smaller frame.
Thomas dancing around deep in the pocket. Pass intended for Dimitri Knowles. And Jonathan Willard unloaded on him after the incompletion. That could have been a flag.
Yeah, no, I thought, and when you look at the film a lot of times, they'll cut those out and send them to the league office, and that you got to be very careful when a guy's going down. You cannot launch at the head. I agree.
Thomas keeps. They'll take it up to the 26-yard line. Stopped by DJ Reader.
Clemson starting to move a lot of people in and out of their defensive front. One of the problems that they've had on defense, they're young and shallow in many spots. So they're trying to get some freshness in there early in the game because Virginia Tech having some success offensively.
For that very thin offensive line, so far so good for Tech. And especially for Michael Via, the center. All good snaps. Thomas throws. Fuller with another catch. Fuller breaks a tackle up to the 47-yard line. Took Jonathan Meeks with him. Another big play, this time 21.
Fuller, a guy who's come into his own. He started at the University of Kansas running track. But because of some of the injuries to Marcus Davis, Dyrell Roberts, and then, of course, DJ Coles, who's a veteran coming back who was hurt and out for the season in the Georgia Tech game, this young man has gotten the reps he needed to go from a track athlete to a football player, and you're starting to see that there's some comfort between he and Logan Thomas.
Joey Phillips, the blocking back, checks with his quarterback. Thomas going to take off again. Across the 50 to the 45. You know, he's faster than he looks.
Yes.
He's got that loping gait to him, and nobody seems to catch him.
Well, that was a perfect example because Quandon Christensen had it. Quandon Christensen was in position to tackle Thomas from behind, and Thomas just slowly inched away from him and ended up picking up big yardage, which could have been right at the line of scrimmage.
Second and about 2, and that was almost a pick six. Darius Robinson obviously studied film this week. He saw that coming, closed on the flanker screen. If he doesn't trip and go down, that's a touchdown.
And so watch the up top. There's 4 receivers trying to set it up. And that's a wonderful job by Robinson. He just staked right through the first 3 guys who no one knew who was supposed to block him. You can see right there, number 80. I believe that was 88, Ryan Malik, the tight end coming back. That was his blocking responsibility.
He actually overran it by about 3 yards. What a great job of identifying what he was trying to do. There's Martin Scales. They like him. He's a much bigger back for third and short situations, and he's got enough for the first down. Virginia Tech really doing a number right now against the Clemson defense that has struggled all year long.
For Virginia Tech, you started to see a rhythm in the second half, 41 straight against Duke last week. And everyone around the country, oh, it was Duke. I'm telling you right now, Duke is pretty good this year. After watching them on film, they've got some defensive linemen that can really play. So That was a big deal last week. Huge confidence build.
Almost a little scissors play action that time to Tony Gregory. Josh Watson makes the tackle on him.
And it's the window dressing when we were talking to Brian Steinspring, the offensive coordinator for Virginia Tech, because of the youth at running back, because of the injuries at wide receiver, because of the in and out on the offensive line. They've had to simplify, but now they just do things that make every play look different like that.
Thomas rifles that one to Davis. Virginia Tech looking sharp on this possession, but down to the 27-yard line. This is as good as I have seen Logan Thomas look, and that throw was a beauty.
Very decisive. There was some pressure coming from his left. He didn't see it, he felt it. One of the things that you have to teach a quarterback, when color comes clear of your blockers, you just have to feel it. And his left guard had been beat, but he stood there and threw it on time.
Back to the ground in Coleman. Little guy trying to get outside, and does, and takes it to the 23.
Logan Thomas off to a hot start, so of course that means Twitter is blowing up with hashtag Logan Thomas, I would assume. I don't know what his handle is. Do you know, Mike, what his handle is?
I do not. Play 13 of this drive coming. Inside the 20 to the 19 goes Coleman.
Yeah, I get tired, you know, shorter running backs. And you look around the NFL now and you're starting to see 5'8", 5'9", and guys, you know, running for 1,500 yards. At 185, 190 pounds, you're thicker than a guy at 6 foot, 185. So you can run between the tackles. Not quite 192. That's a little inflated. But this is a young man who's starting to feel the game slow down. Got here in spring, through the summer, through the fall. Wonderful speed. He's starting to really find his way between the tackles, too.
Michael Holmes gets the toss on 3rd and short. Cuts it back up. Good hard run. He's very close. Maybe just short as Clemson got 4 tacklers out there to shut it down. And one of the Tigers is still down.
We have an official's timeout.
That was a good hard run by Holmes. Once he turned the corner, there was no blocking help in front of him, and he just put his shoulder down and rammed into a couple of guys. And it looked like Darius Robinson was the man who got the brunt of that.
Oh boy, his left ankle just turned completely over when he went to stop to make the tackle. Nice block by Joey Phillips, the fullback. He had Travis Blanks, kind of a hybrid linebacker safety, coming knifing in. He cut him down, but this could be a big blow for Clemson.
We'll check on the junior corner when we come back to Death Valley at Clemson. Aerial coverage today being provided by the MetLife Blimp. See how MetLife can provide the coverage you need. MetLife, I can do this.
And unfortunately for Clemson, Darius Robinson being put on a cart, tending to that left leg. And if you're Virginia Tech, sitting here at 4th and 1, this is a big loss, by the way. Robinson had that great jump on that screenplay. So now you start to get a little depth issue in that secondary that's been struggling this year. But if I'm Frank Beamer, there is no way I'm sending out Jernell, my kicker, right now, because 7 is just not going to end this. 3 points is just not going to win this game for you. You're not going to get many interceptions with your safety falling down because he was out of position and getting a tipped interception. So, and I think, well, you know, they've had success running between the tackles, so that's probably what you're going to see. But, you know, maybe you can get aggressive on a play like this. I think they'll probably go conservative, but I'll be surprised with a little run action pass potentially.
Well, they tried the one quarterback keeper. That blew up in their face.
Yeah.
Everything else has worked. And they'll go with the tailback. I don't think so. Michael Holmes drilled by the center of that defense. Perico Wright, Corey Crawford, both of them in there. And it's a first down, Tigers. And I agreed with you. You got to try to go for it. But what a lift for Clemson when they stopped it.
And they ran towards the strain. And number 86, Eric Martin, just got pushed right into the backfield by Corey Crawford. Crawford, a guy that they've been expecting big things out of, and Crawford just pushed 86 right back into the hole and gave the running back a one-way to go. He had to stay to the outside, and then the safety and the linebacker got there. That was good play by the defensive end, Crawford, to make that play go only one place and let everybody fill behind him.
They loved to motion Watkins. They did again, and now Boyd throws for the sideline, in and out of the hands of Jerron Brown. Boy, Virginia Tech, are they being aggressive? They are really getting in the backfield and getting after Taj Boyd.
This is a defensive line that, frankly, I did not see on film before this game. This defensive line for Virginia Tech now is playing as good as maybe they have all season.
This play will carry out to the 29 as Watkins will get the first down. They do so much with Sammy Watkins because he is such a dynamic player. The other part of this, they want to get him going.
Yeah. And they don't want to force it. Chad Morris, the offensive coordinator, is just talking about we have ways to get it to him, but we also have other guys too.
Ellington takes it to the 35, spun back by Tyler. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, as you were saying, it has taken Sammy Watkins a while to get into the flow of the season, and that's what Chad Morris was telling us. He says you just can't force it when you're not in a groove. He's been telling Watkins, and you can see the frustration on his face. He's been telling him, guys, just let it come to you. You will get there. And he said we put him in some adverse situations this week to try and get him back in the flow.
All right, Janine, Kyshawn Jarrett, Michael Cole come up to stop the run on this last play. It's going to be 3rd and a long 3, and Clemson wants a timeout to talk about it. Right now, Virginia Tech surprising the Tigers here at Clemson, 7-0. Back after this.
Clemson Tigers. Brilliant. 110%.
Number 1 is on ESPN tonight. Alabama goes into Knoxville to face a Tennessee team desperately seeking to win the latest chapter of the 3rd Saturday in October. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight. 3rd a long 3 for Taj Boyd and the Clemson offense. Boyd wants to throw for it against the 4-man rush and throws and completes. He does to midfield to Sammy Watkins.
When you watch Watkins and Hopkins catch the ball, it is just effortless. Both of these young men have such good hands, and that immediately translates to more yards after catch. Your feet never have to leave the ground.
Boyd, good play fake. Then he throws underneath to Ellington. Ellington will pick up 8. One of the coaches said to us last year, Sammy Watkins doesn't catch the ball. He takes it out of the air.
That's such a great way to put it. And when your quarterback starts making little dart throws like this to the other explosive player in Ellington, that's a special play. That's Taj Boyd. Confident, comfortable. That's not a risky throw, but he had to adjust his delivery point, obviously.
Downfield this time, underthrown, but caught. Hopkins. Now it's incomplete. Boy, it looked at first glance like he had it.
And it's rare to see DeAndre Hopkins let the ball get to his chest. This ball gets all the way to his chest. And Cole comes in there right at the end and maybe gets it. I'm shocked he doesn't hold on to this. This guy has such good hands. That's a shocker that he dropped that ball. He had it long enough usually for him to hold on to it.
It's going to be an interesting
ruling on the field
review.
is an incomplete pass. The play is under further review.
It's going to be an interesting review because he did not go to the ground, I don't think, because of contact. So you wipe out that part of the rule. The idea is, do you have possession and do you make a football move? He took 2 steps.
I don't think on the play we just saw before. I know it's close, but
Should have been interception, I thought.
Yeah, Cole was a little late getting over there. You can tell that Cole, a freshman, having a hard time adjusting to this speed. We already saw him fall down earlier. A little late getting over there. Good coverage by the corner, though, Fuller. I don't think he had it. That's an incomplete pass.
I agree with you.
That's an incomplete pass.
But it's close enough to scare you to death.
And close enough that we should stop the game and take a look. Have the replay officials who are looking at the exact same replays we are from the production truck. It's close, but this is not a touchdown.
And when you look at a couple of different angles of the replay, I think you would have to consider him going to the ground because there was contact.
And it did not look to me like either defender got a hand on that ball. If they did, it didn't change the flight of it much. But again, it's so rare to see Hopkins go up and not catch the ball with his hands. If he puts his hands in front of him, I bet he catches that cleanly and it's a touchdown.
Of course, to the crowd reaction here, they're showing the replays on the Jumbotron.
What do you think?
They do. The Clemson crowd is watching this with their heart, and they're going, hey, it's a touchdown.
You know what? But the other half are using their head saying, yeah, I'm not so sure. It's a half-hearted, it's a touchdown. Look, they're about 1/10 of the people have their hands up for touchdown around the stadium. I think that they are incorrect.
I think the replay clearly shows the ball came out.
And one thing to always remember is the officials on the field are calling this in real time, not frame by frame high def. This is a tough call that I think they got right. But you look at that, and there is the moment, and you called it, where it looks like he's got it touchdown. But that's an excellent call by the deep judge there.
After further review, the receiver did not maintain control as he went to the ground. It's an incomplete pass.
The other thing that would have been interesting, if they said it had been a catch,
you'd overturn it.
He lost the ball. Was he in the end zone when he lost it? If it was, it would have been a touchback.
Wonderful officiating real time.
Really was. Yep. Really was. You're absolutely correct.
Now I think you go again on 3rd and short. Why not? I think you're in 4-down territory.
Watkins in motion. He'll get the ball. Anytime you get him in space, if you're on defense, you just hold your breath.
You know, Chad Morris yesterday when we met with him, very engaged and smart guy. He kept saying, well, we don't want to force it. We don't want to force it. They're giving the ball. They're giving the ball to number 2 an awful lot early in this game.
Ellington. Nice cut to get to the outside. Block downfield gets him a lot more. What a block by Jerron Brown, the wide receiver. Out on the perimeter, he just engaged his man and kept him tied up.
But one thing that Ellington has to do is Ellington has to slow down and wait for his pulling guard, Beasley. If he waits 1/2 a second, he's going to have a clean run by Exum, and he's going to hit that 3rd level faster. You got to slow down and wait for your blockers sometimes.
I think if you got Ellington speed, you just say, excuse me, big boy, I'm out of here.
I get it, but now you've told the defense exactly where you're going. If you put that 1 foot in the ground and you pause for 1/2 a second, let your big lineman knock down a defensive back, now you're hitting with more field and more speed. It's harder to get the angle right for the secondary.
Clemson just with so many weapons. Now they have Hopkins and Watkins to the same side of the field. To the bottom of your screen.
This is odd-looking coverage.
Boyd under pressure again. Able to escape and throws it away.
Bud Foster really drew up a nice defense there. They had, a lot of times, you know, when you have the outside receiver, you want a corner head up on the outside receiver. But this is the guy out here who's on that outside receiver. And he was 5 yards inside of Watkins because they were expecting him to run a crossing route, and guess what he ran? And so that corner was standing right there when Watkins went to run, and he had to break off this route.
This is not Bud's first rodeo. 3rd and long now for Taj Boyd. This will be the 12th play of this drive. Clemson trying to tie it up. Now whistles blow. And another timeout for the Tigers.
Clemson.
Play clock
Their
was down
second
to
charge
3.
timeout of the half. 30-second
and they couldn't
timeout.
afford the penalty, so we've got a timeout. Only 7 seconds to go. First quarter. really been a fascinating ball game so far. Only 7 seconds to go in the first quarter. Virginia Tech has taken advantage of the breaks they've gotten and how hard they've played, and they're leading nationally ranked Clemson 7-0.
Chalk up a win for Clemson defensively, 4th and short on the other side of the field. They get the big stop, and not shockingly at all, their offense takes over and starts marching right down the field as they did on the first drive before the turnover.
Now they got Watkins to the left in a stack. He goes in motion. Hopkins is on the right side. Boyd for the end zone, too high for Hopkins. Had him open for a second. There wasn't much room to fit it in there.
Exact same throw he missed on the interception. Got the tip of the ball up, rushed it just a little bit. And Boyd has a very gifted arm. He gets rid of the ball very quickly, but there's a couple of times where the ball leaves his hand. It's just not a good throw. That was one of them.
Chandler Catanzaro over the last 2 years has made 19 straight field goals. They tried to make it 20 in a row with this attempt from 27 yards. We've seen some poor kicking this year, but not today. We have 2 of the best in college football as field goal kickers, and it's 7-3 at the end of one quarter. Not exactly what this sellout crowd of 81,000 plus had in mind this afternoon, trailing Virginia Tech after a quarter. Field goal gets Clemson on the board. Only the second time this year they have not scored a touchdown in the first period. Spencer Benton to kick it away, and Knowles and Coleman are deep. Knowles 16th in the country in kickoff returns. Coleman to the 24. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Mike, Dr. Pepper 10 conference update for the Big Ten. After Braxton Miller of Ohio State had a touchdown run, Purdue's Hakeem Hunt answers with this kickoff return. He's the big play man for the Boilermakers, and Ohio State trailing 13-7 at home in the first quarter. Mike.
Another shocker, Robert. Thomas in the gun. Throws to his tight end Ryan Mallett. There's a flag down as Mallett makes the catch out at the 25. Gary Peters made the tackle.
Holding. Offense, number 67. After distance. Touchdown.
That'll cost him 10. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike and Ed, a defensive coordinator for Clemson, Brent Venables, has one less weapon to work with right now today. They have lost cornerback Darius Robinson to a bad ankle sprain. X-rays were negative, however, but Venables is livid with all the mental mistakes being made by his secondary, and now he's down one cornerback.
Thanks, Janine. And Darius Robinson, good news for him that it was not a break, because it looked much more serious than apparently it's turning out to be. Happy for that young man. Thomas now forced back to the 13-yard line. 1st and 20, changing the play.
And now Clemson very smartly changing their defense. They're not going to stay in the same defense when Logan Thomas gets a check from the sideline. I like it.
Quick throw, gets it out to Davis, and a nice job by Michael Vi, the center. When they changed the play, then he's got to go to a different snap, and he hung right in there.
And the one thing Venables is trying to do, knowing that they have a new center for Virginia Tech, when you change the play, you have to change the line call. So what Venables is doing is saying, okay, if you're going to check it, we're completely changing our defense. I like this cat and mouse. But with the youth and inexperience of Clemson, sometimes that makes players think too much and gets them out of position.
Virginia Tech lost its starting center to a fractured ankle and ligament damage in his ankle as well. Andrew Miller, who was a Remington Trophy candidate. It's a huge loss for them. Straight up the middle goes Gregory. Gregory lost the ball and got it right back. What a break.
The ball is just absolutely bouncing right to Virginia Tech. This is Corey Fuller, who's coming in to finish the play, and he actually catches this ball on the fly. That was a nice job by number 31, Rashard Hall, to pull that ball out, although a little more ball security there if you're Virginia Tech and Tony Gregory. But
that's two.
The ball just seems to be flying to white jerseys today when it's up in the air, and you would expect it to be more of a random occurrence.
From 1st and 20 to 3rd and less than a yard. Thomas takes off. 1st down and more, dives forward to the 40. Breaks are one thing. You got to take advantage of it.
But here's what I'll say, and you hear this all the time. When you play hard, things tend to kind of fall your way. And right now, Virginia Tech is playing exceptionally hard. Their quarterback, who has had a problem sometimes making the decision of take off or run, has now at least twice done a really nice job of, it's covered, there's a hole, I'm going, and picking up at least what I can get. He's very decisive early in this game.
1st down from the 40. The other benefit of long drives for Virginia Tech, and they've had a couple of those, is it keeps the Clemson offense off the field. But they'll be coming right back because that ball is picked right in the hands of Jonathan Meeks, and he caught it in bounds at the Clemson 40.
Well, this is a difficult throw. There's no doubt about it. But Logan Thomas overthrows this ball. We've seen Taj Boyd overthrow 2 balls so far, and this ball just clearly overthrown. Dyrell Roberts had run in. Let's see if Meeks actually has that ball. Ooh, that's awfully close. I think we're going to have to look at that from a couple of angles because I'm not so sure. Meeks, he's still making.
You don't think he may have had
I'm not so
possession?
sure. Watch if he has it. Foot down. Watch, though, as he moves the ball there. No, you got to give it to him.
I think he's got it.
Closer.
Too late now anyway. Boyd throws to Watkins underneath, wrapped up immediately by Cole. 5 catches already for Sammy Watkins.
And I'm not so sure Logan Thomas wasn't trying to throw that away. But either way, it's a mistake. It's either overthrown for an interception, or when you throw it away, make sure you're hitting. Yeah, you're hitting the 6-year-old in the 3rd row. Make him happy.
Not hard.
No.
Boyd. Boy, they put pressure on Taj Boyd, and that has not been the strong suit of this defense coming into this game. J.R. Collins, who had 6 sacks a year ago, had none. James Gale had 3, had 6.5 a year ago. They had just not applied any pressure, but they are really getting after Clemson.
And a really nice job going inside Gifford Timothy. Gale's on 2 feet, and they're giving him a free rush. And Timothy struggling a little bit so far early with Gale. Gale, of course, from Virginia, and so is Taj Boyd. They played against each other in high school, so it seems like 99 brought a little extra to the game today.
3rd and 4. Boyd for Watkins, knocked away at the last moment. Antone Exum got lucky. He never saw the ball. He played Sammy Watkins' hands and got one arm up to knock it away.
I won't disagree. He got lucky to hit that ball without seeing it, but he's running stride for stride. That's wonderful coverage by Exum. Exum, a guy who had played safety earlier in his career, moved over to corner this season. That's really nice coverage.
Very high, very short kick. Takes a bounce, hits a Virginia Tech player. Clemson's got it. Looked like Ronnie Van Dyke was hit when the ball bounced. If you're on special teams, you have to be aware.
And you hear all the time, there's a bunch of different words for get away from the ball. And right now, you can see the receiving from Virginia Tech, and that's number 44, Christian Reeves, who didn't get the call. When you hear the call, whatever it is, a lot of teams use the word Peter, they yell it out. Whatever it is, get away, fire. You have to look up and find that ball and run the other way, and Reeves got caught. He didn't hear it, and he didn't get away from the ball.
Now Clemson fumbles on a little trickery. Watkins covers it up at the 36-yard line.
A lot of ball handling, and Clemson does a ton of stuff, and their players get very excited about flipping the ball around, but sometimes you can outthink it. You've got some momentum. You just got great field position. Why call something that difficult in ball handling? Now you got a huge negative yardage play.
And Ellington hasn't been that much of a factor yet. They'll give it to him here, and there he goes. Ellington 20, 15. Exum goes for the ball. Ellington gets down to the 14-yard line. Gain of 22.
You have to be careful about running over your receivers. Once again, outrunning his blockers up front. And I know it's a nitpicky thing, but there's Sammy Watkins working for you. Don't knock him down. Avoid him, and maybe he can go get another block.
First down, Tigers. Boyd. Well, nowhere to go. He's a marked man today.
Well, that was not a good read. The backside defensive end, Chris Harley, stayed home. And, excuse me, that was Corey Marshall who stayed home, and Taj Boyd should have given that to the running back.
Got some help from Tyler. They lost maybe a half a yard. Draw play to Roderick McDowell, who's in for the first time, and McDowell taken out short of the 10.
And now you're
just inside the 5 for a first down.
You're in that exact same position you were in the other when they drove last time, where you get to that 3rd and just over medium. And remember, they had a pass play where Taj Boyd had nowhere to go, so maybe a quarterback draw or something there. But I think you get the 4th and 1, you'd go for it, so positive yardage.
Watkins in motion, they run the option. Boyd to the 1. That'll be a 1st and goal, Clemson.
I really like that call by Chad Morris. He went to the pass the last time there, it was completely covered. Didn't have anything he liked, so he goes to an option with his quarterback, who's a very good runner, and Boyd does a good job of finding the hole and then just trying to get to the end zone. Now, if you're Virginia Tech, 1st and goal, how do you defend an offense like this? 1st and goal from the 1.
Well, nobody has. They're averaging 41 points a game. Chad Morris's version of the spread. Boyd, quarterback draw, touchdown. Hey, defense coordinators all over the country are asking that question. How do you defend this? Catanzaro will come on for the point after as Clemson has taken its first lead of the ballgame. And that took some air out of the Virginia Tech sideline.
Well, just an honest mistake by Christian Reeves in a very loud place. Does not get the call to get away from the ball. He's still looking back to the returner. And then Clemson finally breaks the seal with a touchdown. Now the question becomes, can Virginia Tech's offense, the way they've been playing, answer this momentum?
Clemson has taken the lead with 9:29 to go first half of play on top of Virginia Tech 10-7. Tigers kicking off. Knowles and Coleman are deep. Knowles at the goal line. Picks his way through defenders, but stopped at the 19. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. With the 10-7 score, Logan Thomas so far 72 yards passing, a score and a pick. Taj Boyd had the touchdown for Clemson, and Sammy Watkins has already caught 5 for 40 and run the ball several times as well.
And you get the sense for Virginia Tech, they already had a blown drive where they got no points when they didn't get the 4th down conversion. In this type of game where your defense hasn't played great, playing against Clemson, you kind of feel like these possessions here really start to matter, even though it's still the first half.
Logan Thomas will call his own number, takes it across the 20 to the 21. He just sort of glides. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere, but he is very effective as a runner.
Guy who came into Virginia Tech as a tight end was recruited to come play tight end, and they just realized he threw the ball well, and he was a smart guy. He picked up the offense, so they switched him before he even started fall camp his freshman year to quarterback. And
well, how many 6'6", 260-pound quarterbacks come along?
Not many, and he does throw a really nice ball.
Give it off to Coleman, nowhere to go. Coleman gains maybe a half yard.
You know what, though? That's a pretty good half yard for a young running back, because there was literally nothing there. And a lot of times, guys who come straight out of high school that have this type of speed are used to outrunning everybody. And this is one where we don't have much. I'm just going to tuck it underneath and get as many as I can. That's a nice quality run, even though it's only a half a yard. Better than a 3-yard loss.
3rd and long now. Logan Thomas out of Lynchburg, Virginia, checking the sideline for the call. Clemson showing a change in its defense. Thomas now under pressure. Throws as he's hit. Tried to get it down the sideline to Ryan Mallett, but DJ Reader interfered with his throwing motion. Good pressure by Reeder, the backup nose tackle.
Reeder, a true freshman, having a pretty nice game so far. Just one-on-one. Oh, that was a blown assignment in the middle. That was a slide protection, and somebody slid the wrong way. The left guard was David Wang, I believe, sliding to his left, and via the center went the other way. So kind of an easy one for Clemson with a blown protection by Virginia Tech.
Hughes to punt to Watkins. Remember last year, a lot of guys just kicked it out of bounds. Bad snap. Hughes comes out with it, kicks it anyway. What a great play. And then Watkins takes it on the run down to the 43. Tip of the cap to A.J. Hughes, who somehow found a way to get the kick off. It only went 26 yards, but it's better than having it stuffed in your face.
And in case you're wondering, he is left-footed. For a moment there, I thought he may. Oh, no, he is left-footed. Wonderful play.
Either foot will work when you're in that position.
And because he left the tackle box, that is not a penalty.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by the all-new Honda Accord. It starts with you. And AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, we think possible.
Those shots are from a diving exhibition held last night at McHugh Natatorium on campus by the Clemson's women diving program. Team and coaches mingled with the audience, as well as teaching diving 101. You can keep that high board. Not doing that.
Not a fan.
No, never have been.
You know, and it's tough for Virginia Tech in a year where their defense very shockingly hasn't been as good as a lot of us expected coming in. The special teams, which of course the term Beamer ball comes from, because early in Virginia, in Frank Beamer's career at Virginia Tech, they were such a great special teams group. But now the average start position, 36 yards better for Clemson because of 2 foul-ups in the punt game for Virginia Tech.
2nd and 5. Ellington lowers his shoulder, gets a couple. You got to remember, when Frank Beamer took over at Virginia Tech, he wasn't going to have better offensive players than you did. He wasn't going to have better defensive players. He realized a long time ago you could win games by making a couple of big plays on special teams. He's done his entire career.
And they were so thin, they had to put first teamers out there, which back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, second stringers, go on out there and cover everything. And Frank and his staff had to put first liners out there to continue to do it. Now everybody's kind of starting to do that, but it was a trend that they started.
Boyd after the pump fake, and they're going to take Taj Boyd down again. Virginia Tech's forward wall doing the job. 3 sacks. Jack Tyler, the leading tackler on this club out of Oakton, Virginia, after the pump fake, got there for the sack.
And wonderful coverage. They brought an extra man. There was a stunt in the middle. Good lane integrity by the defensive line. Nobody got out of their rush lane, so when Boyd stepped up to try to get yardage, there was a bunch of white shirts there.
Put the big rush on, didn't get there. Fair catch signaled for and made it to 15 by Kyshawn Jarrett. A 30-yard punt, no return. Good ball game. 10-7 Clemson. This week on ABC Saturday Night Football, a lot of you will see ACC rivals take on each other as Jimbo Fisher and number 14 Florida State go south to take on Miami. Others will see Baylor against number 25 Texas. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows 8 on ABC and ESPN3 at 8 Eastern. Virginia Tech takes over and will start from its own 15-yard line. And the Clemson defense holding up better here in the second quarter than it did in the first.
Say again? The thing for me with Virginia Tech right now is I'm blown away with how good their defense is playing up front. That 3rd and 2, it was all vertical throws, and the pressure got there. That's what you want to happen. If they're going to go vertical, you've got to get there.
Thomas, the slant, caught and then dropped by Davis. They're probably going to say incomplete, and they do. Davis was trying to make a move. He knew the defender was right on his hip. Tried to make the catch and spring. Forgot to spin.
Yeah.
Forgot the football when he did it.
And that's a big drop because you'd have had a 3rd and 2 versus a 3rd and 9. So now you're in a situation where you have to throw the ball And if I'm Clemson, I'm not so sure I'm going to blitz anybody. I think I'm going to drop 8 and make them try to find a hole in my zone.
Both teams look to the sideline. Both get their respective calls on 3rd and 9. Thomas throws a strike. Completes it to Roberts, and Roberts shaking tackles across midfield to the 45. Well, Thomas really leaned into that one, and Roberts goes for 39. Another big play against that Clemson defense.
And remember the injury to Darius Robinson. This is Gary Peters, who is now in for Robinson, and Peters played way off of Roberts, gave him way too much cushion on a 3rd and long, and then he took a bad angle back. So we mentioned that Robinson would be a big loss. You see it pay off almost immediately for Virginia Tech.
Tyrell Roberts brings a lot of speed to this receiving corps. He's flanked to the top of your screen. Now they go back to this side, and another poor pass by Davis.
And I think that was backwards, so they're going to lose about 4 yards on that play, just like if you pitch the ball out of bounds. Because Davis, this was a run. This was basically a toss sweep. Davis had backed up behind Thomas, and when Davis came back, he was pointing, I've got to back up. So I think that that was a misread by Logan Thomas, not knowing that Davis was going to back up that much.
So it costs him about 2 yards. Another very dangerous throw. And it's 2nd and 12. Fake to Coleman. Thomas keeps it. Cut inside. Should have gone outside. Corey Crawford was waiting for him. Let's go to Robert Flores.
Hey, Mike, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now, brought to you by HP. Right now on ESPN, Texas A&M has just added a field goal. They lead LSU 12-0 2nd quarter. Earlier on game day, Ryan Lochte picked Auburn to win that game, but they're losing to Vanderbilt. Wesley Tate, short touchdown run for the Commodores.
Vanderbilt is a team that's right on the edge. They've got as many good players they've had in a long time, but they need a couple of breaks to win big ball games. That pass too high, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Meeks. Jonathan Meeks is going to take it to the house. 74-yard touchdown. A badly overthrown ball that results in a pick 6. Catanzaro on for the point after. (17-7) Clemson.
We've seen both of these quarterbacks make throws that have loaded on this one. This just came funny. Look how badly that ball came out of Logan Thomas's hands. And that is the second gift, I think, today that we have seen to a safety. First one, Cole was on his back. This one, Meeks catches it on the fly and takes it to the house.
Well, now they're fired up. Clemson on top 17-7 after the pick 6. Puts them up by 10. 3:46 to go first half. Knowles and Coleman are deep. Knowles takes a knee. They'll start from the 20.
We looked at this a bunch of different ways to see if Logan Thomas was hit. I think he short arms this throw. There's pressure by Deshaun Williams coming late, and it looked like he came out. Oh, you know what? His arm hit on the offensive lineman. I believe that was the guard, Brent Benedict. It was. And I think that because he didn't get the follow through, the ball floated. That thing just didn't come out of his hand correctly.
This is a danger time right now, I think, for Virginia Tech. They've turned it over. They've fallen behind by 10. You don't want to make a mistake here. Howard is the running back. And a gain of maybe half a yard on the scramble as Harley makes the stop. Now for today's Aflac trivia question. Who's the last Clemson wide receiver to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft?
I'm not sure. Why would we be asking that question? What's relevant? Oh, there's probably 2 of them.
You would
on
think.
Clemson's roster.
Thomas drops it underneath to Davis, and Marcus Davis has enough for a first down out at the 36. It'll temporarily stop the clock at 3:08.
And you're in such a tough spot right here for your Virginia Tech, because you would like nothing more than to not let Clemson's offense come back on the field. But if you go too slow, you may get yourself to position. You have all 3 timeouts. That's a luxury. But I wouldn't want to give this ball back under any circumstances if I'm the Hokies.
Tony Gregory, big hole up the middle. Cuts it to the outside, makes another man miss. Still on his feet to the 48-yard line. Good, tough run by Tony Gregory, the junior, who is probably the fastest back on the roster, but coming off a couple of ACL surgeries.
And you can do this because of the time and those 3 timeouts. You can take the time a little bit here if you're Tech.
Fake to Gregory. This time Thomas throws over the middle, incomplete. Looked like that could have been caught by Corey Fuller, but Jonathan Meeks got a hand in there. Meeks, the guy who intercepted the pass and returned it for a score.
Meeks looking like he's way more comfortable than he did against Georgia Tech 2 weeks ago. He was out of position a couple of times. Of course, much different offense that you're defending, but right now Meeks, that was a nice job jumping that route. He's the deep safety, came underneath and got an arm on him.
And his reputation is as a run support guy, not necessarily a pass defender. This time they've got plenty to Fuller, and he's down to the 30.
One thing to track here is there are starting to be some really sloppy snaps, as expected when your 3rd-string center, Michael Vaya, has been there. You mentioned Andrew Miller's out, but also Caleb Ferris, who was the 2nd-string center, also injured. And Thomas is having a hard time now sometimes with that shotgun snap falling kind of at his feet. So he has to take his eyes off the blitz and the coverage.
Virginia Tech putting up the numbers, Clemson putting up the points. Gregory turned back as he got maybe a yard before Malachi Goodman hit him.
And I think you need to be constantly talking on your headsets if you're the Virginia Tech coaches. What are we going to do with this clock here? We can go slow a little bit, but it's going to start to melt in a way that, again, you've got to be thinking touchdown. Field goals are not going to win this game. So if you're Frank Beamer, make sure you're talking to Michael Kane, your play caller, Brian Steinspring, your offensive coordinator, communicating how we want to work this clock, because it's going to start melting awfully quickly.
They do have all of their timeouts to work with. Quarterback keeper inside the 25 to the 24. And let me play devil's advocate here with the field goal. A field goal would get you within 1 score.
Is that going to be enough against Clemson's offense? I
said devil's advocate.
And your defense is playing great, and maybe they'll play great in the second half, but you just, right now, you can't bank on that, I think, if you're Virginia Tech. And so with that in mind, 3rd and medium here, I think you've got to put something in the end zone and let Logan Thomas at least look at 7 points here, but make sure there's something underneath. And again, move the chains, keep the clock rolling.
Under a minute to go. Quarterback keeper again, very conservative call, as they had 2 tailbacks on the field at the same time. Quandon Christian made the tackle. So now what do you do? The ball's at the 23. It'd be about a 40-yard field goal.
And they've got it. They're solid. Virginia Tech solid in the kicking game, but they're going to let this go down and call the timeout. It looks to me like they're going to kick this field goal. So you get a conservative call on 3rd and 4. Pick up a yard, and now you're at 4th and 3, and you're going to kick the field goal. I know your defense is playing well. I just think this is a go for it down, and I think you go back to that 3rd down and maybe call a throw to the end zone.
I understand your point, but I can also see what Frank Beamer is thinking here.
Oh, no.
We wipe out the clock, we kick the field goal. I got a guy in Cody Jernell who missed last November. He's going to make your field goal, and you're within 1 score.
I understand the point, and I think the biggest point is not let Clemson come back on the field offense. I'd still want 7 if I were the Hokies.
Now for the answer to our Aflac trivia question, which was the last Clemson wide receiver drafted in the 1st round of the NFL draft. Did you get it right? Rod Gardner in 2001.
Been a while. But I think DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins are 2 guys when it comes time.
I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
Their name is not going to be on the draft board for very long.
You know, one thing Clemson could have done, I had missed that they had a timeout. They could have taken a timeout as well. I always think if you have an offense, well, if you have any offense, play the positive what if. What if we get a kickoff return out to midfield and we have 30 seconds left? So not great clock management by Clemson there.
Well, they don't let you take the timeouts home with you, so why not use them? Journell has made 19 of his last 20. Of his last 21. A couple of really good kickers trying to keep it close here. And with 3 seconds left in the half, it's 17-10. It's beautiful aerial coverage being provided by the MetLife blimp. See how MetLife can provide the coverage you need. MetLife, I can do this. And what a beautiful day to fly over Clemson, South Carolina. 81-5. And anybody else who could shoehorn their way in here. The ACC is still totally up for grabs in both divisions, the Atlantic and the Coastal. Clemson still needs help. Florida State still the odds-on favorite, but Florida State has the tiebreaker over Clemson. Virginia Tech, now they got a reasonably tough schedule down the stretch.
Yeah, they do. But remember that loss to North Carolina, which is the one loss in the Coastal for Virginia Tech, doesn't really matter because North Carolina is ineligible to win the ACC championship this year. They already beat Duke, so they're one up there.
And Miami, Florida State play tonight.
Yeah, so you maybe knock Miami back one, and then of course Virginia Tech plays on November 1st, Thursday night against at Miami, and then the following Thursday night they play Florida State. So 2 Thursday nights in a row, Virginia Tech is going to have a say on the national stage of who's going to play for the ACC championship.
There's the squib. Ball comes loose, but the clock is expired. Doesn't matter who gets it. And Virginia Tech has got to go to the locker room feeling pretty good. They acquitted themselves well in the first half against a heavily favored Clemson team that is used to putting tons of points on the boards. Here's Janine Edwards with Dabo.
Coach, we've seen Taj Boyd sacked a few times. He's overthrown a few balls. What's Virginia Tech doing that's proving to be most challenging right now defensively?
Well, early, in particular, that first drive, we had 2 sacks, and they just beat us. I mean, they didn't really do anything schematically. They just beat our guy. And but we seem like we settled down a little bit. We've put a couple good drives together. Taj missed a couple high, but one of them led to a turnover, which we can't do. But hey, listen, defense is playing great. Got a heck of a battle on our hands right now, and we got to get in here in the half and continue to get stops. We're winning the turnover margin. That's big.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay,
and ironically, Mike, it was that pick 6 by their secondary, which has been an area of concern this year, that turned the momentum in this thing.
And that's what has given them the lead at the half, Janine. At the half, our score is Clemson 17, Virginia Tech 10. When we come back, the studio will catch you up on everything at halftime after these messages.
Jonathan Meeks, the interception and the touchdown. Virginia Tech hoping to avoid its first 4-loss season since 2008. 17-10 Clemson. Enjoy this.
Welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. Surprising first half here at Clemson. Virginia Tech is within a touchdown at 17-10. And my question for you, Ed, can they sustain that? Great effort in the first half. And what's the key in the second half?
I'm not so sure that Virginia Tech can sustain what they did defensively. A lot of this has to do with Taj Boyd not quite being on. And then the flip side is Logan Thomas not quite being on.
Right.
I think whichever of these guys, Logan Thomas or Taj Boyd, settles down and starts hitting what look sometimes like easy throws that get away from them, because both defensive have been suspect in the first half of this season. I think it's whichever quarterback settles in and starts hitting the targets that, again, seem easy, but the ball's just been getting away from them.
Thomas threw for 144 yards in the first half. Taj Boyd only 72. And Virginia Tech will get the ball to start the second half. Coleman at the 1. Slips a tackle, gets out to the 16-yard line. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
A lot of surprises in that first half, and people who didn't get to see it. Clemson Tigers not looking very good early on. Great pass rush by Virginia Tech. Hopkins drops a ball that he almost always catches, and then a turnover on special teams by Virginia Tech leads to a leaping Taj Boyd touchdown, and then just a tough, bad throw by Logan Thomas right to Meeks, who took it 74 yards to score. So without the 7 points off their defense, this would be a tied ball game. Tough start for Clemson offensive.
Thomas takes off, sheds one tackler, and is dragged out to the 30-yard line for a first down. Thomas floating it to a wide-open Tyrell Roberts, and he missed him. Had 2 steps on the defender. You've got to complete that pass.
And Virginia Tech picking up the tempo a little bit, but Roberts, who's lined up on the outside, runs right by the corner, and he never looked back to the quarterback until it was too late. This should have been a run-through touchdown. That was a blown assignment by Clemson secondary. Roberts got a little bit lazy off the line of scrimmage, and it looked to me like Logan threw a perfect pass. I put that one on the receiver.
Remember Darius Robinson, the injured corner for Clemson. Terrific effort over there by Marcus Davis. Was only going to have a gain of maybe 3 yards.
And that was exactly what Virginia Tech did, was going to that side that Darius Robinson wasn't there. And Gary Peters had blown the coverage with Roberts. He thought he had a safety, released him. And Roberts just never got into a full-speed run. And, boy, that was a big miss for Tech.
He was as wide open as it gets. Tailback carry for Coleman, and we check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, I spoke to Virginia Tech coach Frank Beamer, who is quietly confident about the way his team is playing so far in this game. You know, it's taken them a little while to gel this season, but he said one of our goals has been able to run the ball better, and we're doing that. He said, I like the way we're moving the ball on offense. He said if our defense can come up with a couple more big stops and keep up with the misdirection from Clemson, we'll be right in this thing.
Thomas fakes, wants to set up a screen, throws it high, and the timing was off, and J.C. Coleman never had a chance. Spencer Shuey, the middle linebacker, got in there. That play just took way too long to set up.
Yeah, they showed a screen to the receivers to the right, and they were coming back to Coleman, but that ball was tipped by number 91, Josh Watson, and almost another interception that could have been returned along there.
3rd and 13. See both sides communicating. Clemson's going to need a defense on timeout.
Timeout. Clemson, their first charge, timeout of the half.
Trophy is still up for grabs, and the second half of the chase starts in Kansas tomorrow. Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin still 1, 2, 3 in the standings, but Clint Boyer's jumped up to 4th place. You can catch the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Kansas, presented by Ram, tomorrow 1 Eastern on ESPN. You see this all the time. The offense looks to the sideline. Now we're getting defenses more and more doing the same thing, because the defensive coordinator is over there saying, all right, the offensive coordinator is changing to this. Here's my new signal on defense.
There's no way, and it's been a new trend in college football where the audibles in a lot of programs are coming from the box upstairs. They're seeing everything, and you can get the communication. And now the defensive coordinators, like you said, they're not just going to stand around and let you see what they're doing, and they run a completely different defense. This is a tough one, though. 3rd and long after a blown play. They haven't really thrown a true stretch like a post or a go route for Virginia Tech. You want something deep on a kind of crossing route at the first down sticks, but maybe you try to get one over the top here.
The Clemson secondary's been vulnerable. Here's pressure on Thomas, being chased. Running for his life and throwing on the run, incomplete. The pressure was coming from Malachi Goodman. Meeks and Blanks also involved in that play downfield.
Nice job by Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator for Clemson. You'd expect him to play coverage on 3rd and 13, but he did not. He brought one extra defender. They ran a defensive line stunt, and this young, inexperienced, thin offensive line for Virginia Tech just couldn't pick it up. And this should be 5 yards for Clemson. They were in the neutral zone when the Virginia Tech player responded.
Won't affect the punting situation since it's only a 5-yard penalty.
The defensive player came into the neutral zone, causing the offensive player to react. Therefore, it's offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
You know, you're in this place where, what does a fake field goal, or excuse me, a fake punt look like? It's right there on that line where you, maybe not, but get that 5 yards, it may make you think about it for half a second.
Only the second penalty of the entire game, the first against Clemson. Remember, Hughes had a low snap go through his hands earlier in this game. Barely got the punt away. But you got to expect Virginia Tech capable of anything on special teams we talked about before. Nice high floater here. Takes a bad bounce for Virginia Tech. And Clemson will have pretty decent field position from its own 34 with a bounce, a punt of only 26 yards.
Not a very good start for Virginia Tech offensively. The question is, can their defense, who has not played well all year long, continue to play as well as they did in the first half? They're going to need to if the Virginia Tech offense doesn't keep up.
Right now it's a chess match with life-size pieces. Chad Morris on the left for Clemson. Bud Foster, the veteran defensive coordinator, on the right. And Bud Foster's guys won that one as Dietrich Bonner, the free safety, was up right at the line of scrimmage to make a tackle.
So far, Virginia Tech's defense, and you could put a little bit this on Taj Boyd not quite being on, but I think a lot of this is how much more physical Virginia Tech is playing up front against a good Clemson offensive line. I think it's been a little bit of a shock for the big guys in orange, how physical the guys in white have played so far.
They are playing the way you would expect a Bud Foster defense to play, and Boyd had Sammy Watkins wide open on a little crossing pattern, threw it too high and too hard, it looked like.
Yeah, Boyd is just not quite himself today. When he's on, he's as good as any quarterback in the country, but he's just not quite comfortable so far today.
Those are gimmies.
And that's probably a 15, 20-yard gain because that side of the field had been cleared out by deep routes.
Boyd again, this time it's a comeback screen to Hopkins. And Hopkins forced out of bounds at the 40. That was nicely defended by Kyshawn Jarrett.
And a great blitz call that time by Bud Foster. He brought Bruce Taylor, who you wouldn't expect to really be in the game against the spread. He's more of a middle linebacker plugger, but he brought him on a blitz. And it messed up the timing on a screen that was pretty well set up.
And you really can't expect this. 4 3-and-outs for Clemson out of 7 drives. Jarrett is deep, doesn't make the fair catch, doesn't get anything out of it back at the 21. He lost 2 on the return after a punt of 37 yards. Virginia Tech ball. When we come back, they're down a touchdown.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by your local Scion dealer and Dave & Buster's, the new mix of fun.
Family fun at the Denver Downs Farms, not far from the campus here at Clemson.
One flyer to 2 flyers.
I don't think that was live. That must have been taped because everybody in this part of South Carolina is in this stadium right now. and wondering if the Clemson defense can hold up in the second half. Gregory is the tailback. They fake it to him and give off on the end around to Knowles. Knowles nowhere to go, reverses his field. Look at that speed. And he's still forced out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Jonathan Willard got him.
That looked bad from the start. I'm not quite sure what the blocking scheme was, but it took so long to develop that both Shuey and Goodman are just standing there waiting for the ball to come back around.
Judging from the number of Clemson defenders in the backfield, you have to wonder about the blocking scheme.
Yeah. Remember, very inexperienced offensive line. Maybe they didn't quite get enough reps with that specialty play during the week, but that certainly wasn't blocked up.
Thomas now going to throw to Knowles. Did he go down on a knee when he made that catch? It was very, very close. The official was right there, didn't say anything. Clemson complaining about it.
Well, let's take a look. Knowles, a very fast young man who's got a lot of time with injury. He is certainly down. Now, wait a minute. Nope, he did not have possession of the ball while he was down. The ball actually squirted out. He took his knee off the ground and grabbed it. We're talking about a couple of yards, but I think that was the right call. It was because he didn't catch it cleanly.
They'll take 2 yards right now. Makes it 3rd and 10. Thomas with plenty of time. Throws it up for grabs, and it's incomplete. Threw it into double coverage. Marcus Davis asking for a flag, but he's not going to get it. Hall, Smith, both back there.
This was a dangerous throw, and Logan Thomas paid for it as he let the ball go. Came back to the backside and took one right into the ribs by Corey Crawford. Crawford starting to get his name called, and that's pass interference right there. That was missed, completely missed, as the defender for Clemson raked the arms, number 37, Dwayne Stewart. Excuse me, Dante Stewart. That was a missed pass interference on Clemson.
Hughes stands at his 1. He'll be punting to Watkins. Haven't had much luck in the punting game today. Low returnable kick. Watkins from his own 47. And fortunately for Virginia Tech, they had Alonzo Tweedy downfield to make a solid tackle on the dangerous Watkins. Return of 7 after a punt of 39. 10:46 to go in a one-score game. Third quarter at Clemson. Since the start of the second quarter, Clemson's average starting position has been midfield.
How does that happen and they only have 17 points?
I'm sure they're asking that on the sideline. This is an offense that averages 41.3 points a game. They have been held to 17. And the dangerous Andre Ellington picks up 2. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Mike, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now, brought to you by HP. Despite not converting a third down the entire half, number 6 LSU leading number 18 Texas A&M 14-12 at the half. Zach Mettenberg a late touchdown, and number 15 Rutgers spotted Temple a 10-0 lead before they get on the board. Gary Nova to Tim Wright, 32 yards. Mike.
DeAndre Hopkins was the intended receiver. Kyle Fuller was there with him as they went for the home run and didn't get it.
And the home fans wanted pass interference here, but I think this is a good no call. You have 2 guys that are both hand fighting. Nobody's gaining advantage by that. I think competitively equal with both arms. I know the home crowd wanted defensive pass interference, but I think that's a good no call there.
Kyle Fuller knew he was going to be covering Hopkins coming into this ball game, and he was looking forward to it. It is a tradition at Virginia Tech to have an outstanding cover guy in the secondary. Kyle Fuller is it after playing the nickel for a couple of years. He is going to be a big-time draft choice, and Clemson's going to have to kick it away again.
4 3-and-outs in their last 5 possessions. This Virginia Tech defense looks like an entirely new bunch than they were in the first half of the season.
Spencer Benton with a beautiful high kick, but unfortunately for him takes a bounce back 10 yards. They'll down it at the 15, but Virginia Tech again with tough field position. And here's Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, it's evident to me and everyone around him that Taj Boyd is really down on himself right now. Before they went out for that last series, he was just sitting on the bench, and he was actually talking to himself and just sort of shaking his head, Cole Stout, the backup quarterback, was sitting next to him, patting him on the back. And Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney were both sitting in front of him during the entire huddle, consulting with him, trying to figure out what is going wrong.
Well, Janine, you'll remember this was the part of the season last year that started a slide for Taj Boyd in the Clemson offense as Logan Thomas makes a really bad throw trying to hit Coleman on a swing.
And for a guy to go over the sideline, and quarterbacks, when you choose to play that position, all eyes go on you, not just the fans and the media, but your teammates as well. And Taj Boyd needs to button it up and get himself going a little bit, because everybody in that offensive huddle, even though they don't huddle much, but the guys standing around, they want to see a more positive outcome.
Quarterback keeper, that's going to be a first down and more for Logan Thomas as he lowers his shoulders and barrels into Rashard Hall. Be a first down out at the 27. Field position for a team like Virginia Tech is really critical because they don't make a lot of big plays like Clemson does. They make enough. And against the Clemson defense, they were hoping to make more coming into this one.
And you've got to expect that when they come back out, Taj Boyd, they're going to probably hand it off and throw some screens and just get the ball out of his hands as soon as possible. So
Coleman.
you want, and for Virginia Tech, again, they're starting to feel like some key drives here. But one of the things that's just been so difficult is Michael Vi, who was a guard until a couple of weeks ago, has had to start cross-training at center at first because of the injury to the backup Caleb Ferris, but now Andrew Miller, a 4-year starter at center, is out. And Vi, it is so difficult when you have to move, you have to block, you have to call the signals, and oh, by the way, make a perfect snap, which he did there.
Coleman runs into one of his blockers and then taken down at the 30. And you've got a feel for Michael Vi.
Yep.
He was a starting guard and the third-string center. You don't expect to play as the third-string center.
No, and now you're in a position where if Vi goes down, you're in an emergency service situation. They've been cross-training a bunch of other guards at center, but as a guy who played it, it takes a long time for snapping the ball, making the calls, and moving when you snap and attacking to get that right.
Thomas looks to the sideline on 3rd and 8. Play clock at 7. Four-man rush. Pretty good protection. Now he's in trouble. He's so big they can't tackle him.
Well, they said, and I think this is the right call. Forward momentum had stopped.
Oh, I think that's a terrible call.
Do you?
He's the passer.
Yeah, but at what point for safety reasons do you call the play? Because if you get a guy coming off the block and hitting him high, let's see how long he's... No, I think you got to let that go. I agree. He spun around one time. No, that's too quick of a whistle. I know we want to have some safety, but let's not take the competitiveness out of the game. I agree, Mike. That's not a good call.
I mean, he's 5'8", 125. Yeah. I could understand it. He'd be 6'6", 260.
Well, I think no matter the body size, I just think in that situation, I don't think you blow it dead. If he doesn't throw it after he spins around, then maybe blow it. But he threw it right after he spun around.
That was a terrible quick whistle.
Yeah, that's a big miss for Virginia Tech because Coleman picks up the first easily. If it's not
Humphreys is back now instead of Watkins, and Humphreys will take it out to the 47-yard line again, right in the middle of the field for Clemson. Great field position. Now let's take a look at this week's BCS standings, brought to you by Tostitos.
I love how much ink goes into these first BCS standings. Hey, it's great for the sport, but really, everyone got so upset that Florida was over Oregon, and I thought, we're halfway home. Settle down, pump the brakes a little bit.
See if Clemson can take advantage of that break.
And right away they go to a run play, bringing in Sammy Watkins, because
just what you thought.
I think Chad Morris and if Dabo Swinney and Chad Morris had to go over and kind of lift the spirits of their quarterback, I'm not so sure how much they want him making difficult throws against the Virginia Tech defense that all of a sudden is playing really well.
Ellington is the tailback. Boyd will throw underneath to Watkins, shakes a defender, has a first down, lost the ball. And now the official's going to say he was down. And I don't think he was on the ground. I think that ball came out.
I do too. And remember, in the immediate, and Clemson's going fast here. But to me, Virginia Tech needs to take a timeout. Virginia Tech needs to take a timeout. Frank Beamer.
Well, the officials have to stop.
No, Frank's calling a timeout. Frank, and this is a good job. The line judge took forever, and Beamer's going to be hot, but he got what he wanted.
Ruling on the field is that the runner was down prior to the fumble. The head coach of Virginia Tech has challenged the ruling on the field.
So the way the challenge works, which he'll get, that looked like a fumble on the replay that we were watching in an ISO monitor. Watch, his rear does not touch. His rear is not on the ground as that ball's coming out. And in the immediate aftermath of the fumble, even if a whistle is blown, if the defense recovers it, it's their ball. So this will get overturned. Virginia Tech will get their timeout back, and Frank Beamer will get his challenge back. Remember, you only get one challenge per game. If you lose it, it's gone, but this is a great challenge.
And more importantly, he'll get the football.
Yep.
And he'll get the football near midfield instead of back inside his own 20,
yeah,
where he's had it since the start of the second quarter.
How much can go wrong? And that was not much of a swipe at the ball by Bonner. That should not cause a turnover at all. Clemson is sleepwalking in some ways through this game because they have had the field position they've had. It feels like they should be up 50-10 with this offense, and they're sitting here at 17-10. And but Frank Beamer, that's as animated as I've seen him get. He was in that line judge's ear trying to get a timeout, and I don't think the line judge could hear him, but they finally got it. That ball clearly out, so this will be Virginia Tech's ball.
And you went through officials boot camp, so you know what I'm talking about in the statement I'm about to make. Officials are trained to let the play go so that they can make a judgment and not have a quick whistle on it.
What you do is you throw your bag. If it was close, if the ball came out, you have that little bean bag on your belt. You throw it right at the spot, so you know, even if you thought you saw the ball down, go ahead and mark it, follow the play, and then you come back to the referee and say, I called it down, I let the play go. But absolutely, you want to let the competitive go without blowing your whistle. Hard to do, though, because you're also taught end the play for safety reasons.
Sure.
So there is a fine line.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
Oh, boy.
First down.
I don't understand that at all. Now, they didn't confirm it, so they're saying indisputable video evidence. This is shocking. This was a fumble. This should be Virginia Tech's ball. I just don't understand how in the world they did not see that ball coming out before Sammy Watkins' rear end hit the ground. That's the wrong call.
So they've had back-to-back calls that have dramatically impacted this game. They called the quarterback, the old NFL phrase used to be in the grasp, but they said he was being tackled, so they blew the play dead, and now they don't see this fumble. Big break for Clemson.
And the problem for Virginia Tech, here's a defense sitting right on that razor's edge. They're playing as well as they ever could have expected. They make a play, and all of a sudden they have to go back and put their hand in the dirt and keep going against guys like Ellington and Hopkins. And you have to assume eventually Boyd may get a throw or two like he can get. Really nice balls, so tough for Virginia Tech.
Four-man rush. A lot of time. Boyd on the run, throws sidearm, has it complete down to the 20-yard line, through to his tight end, Brandon Ford. There is a flag, however, back at the 45. This is coming back.
Holding, offense number 68, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Sophomore left guard David Beasley called for holding that wipes out a big gain.
And again, this defensive front for Virginia Tech has been so much better today than what I saw on film against Duke, and that was Chris Hartley who made a really nice move, got to the edge of Beasley, and as he's fighting through, Beasley had no choice but to hold. This front for Tech is playing as well as I think they may have all season long.
So now 2nd and 17, back at the 48. Boyd, that's a quarterback draw.
What a great call.
Penalty yardage back and back to the 37.
And here goes Clemson very quickly. You get that, you get the 3rd and call it 7. And here is where, let's see how they trust Boyd. Because on this one, this is just a drop back pass. Have some guys run some hitches, maybe try to put one over the top to pick up the first. Let's see if Chad Morris has trust in Boyd for just a straight drop back throw here.
Blitz coming. They don't get there. Watkins. Nice throw. Sammy Watkins over the outside shoulder, a gain of 27.
It's fairly well covered. A lot of man coverage down here. It's straight man across the board. That's pretty decent coverage, but you simply cannot throw a ball better than that. And that is where Chad Morris is showing, you know what, this is not going to be a slump year for you, Taj.
Yeah, and that throw is going to really lift the spirits of that quarterback.
You mentioned that slide that Boyd went on last year that started kind of on the back half of the season. And Boyd, when we talked to him a couple of weeks ago before we did the Georgia Tech game, he said, yeah, I let some of that stuff go to my head. Well, he started kind of falling apart a little bit in this ball game, and all of a sudden Chad Morris makes a couple of calls to get it going, and then they get a break, obviously, on the non-turnover. But that throw there, this guy's got a special arm.
Watkins is in the slot this time. Hopkins at the top of the screen. Ellington breaks it. Touchdown. That is what good teams do. You get a break like they did, and you take advantage of it. Ellington is down rushed for 94 yards on the day, leads the ACC, 99.5 yards per ball game.
A lot of people around the great state of Virginia saying, yeah, but that one should not have been yours after they did not overturn the fumble. Here's where the ball clearly is out of the grasp of Watkins' hands before he hits the ground, but it was not overturned after a review. And then Ellington, who I was on a little bit earlier about not using his blocks, how about that cut there off the left tackle block of Brandon Thomas? That's a pretty nice cut because Virginia Tech had that play walled off pretty well.
And Andre Ellington in this ball game has become only the 5th Clemson back ever to rush for more than 3,000 yards.
Yeah, but if you look at that list of players, they're not very winning. There's a bunch of really great players on that list. Pretty good group to be a part of.
Yeah. You get in the top 5 at a football school, you've done well. Well, now the mountain just got a little higher for Virginia Tech. They're down 2 scores. And Clemson clearly has the momentum. Coleman on the return. Good coverage by the Tigers. They take him down at the 22. BCS Countdown on ESPN and ESPNU tomorrow, a day after the dust is settled. Our analysts break down how the week's games impacted the standings and look ahead to the key matchups in the following week. BCS Countdown presented by Tostitos tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN, and then on ESPNU at 9, as well as watch.
You know, you spin this forward. Clemson gets a little better defensively. And their schedule's not that awful on the back end. They do have South Carolina here to end the season. But Florida State gets another loss. They get to the ACC championship game. Clemson with 1 loss starts looking pretty darn good.
On the ACC part of their remaining schedule, all these games are eminently winnable.
Maryland much better, I think, than people expected. Duke way better than I thought they were until I watched film yesterday. And then, of course, NC State, which had the big win against Florida State. But then that big win, that big game against South Carolina, you're a 1-loss team, you get a win, you figure South Carolina's still going to be in that top 10, 15. Yeah. You go to the ACC championship game, positive what if for Clemson, win out and see what happens in that BCS.
Yeah, as usual, I think that South Carolina game is going to be a war. Clemson, with its speed, will not let Coleman get outside. Spencer Shuey, who has now taken over the starting job at middle linebacker, made a couple of good plays today.
I just think that Virginia Tech right now is shell-shocked. I think they just felt like they were in this game. All of a sudden, 2 conservative play calls in a row by Mike O'Kane, the offensive play caller, and now you're in a 3rd and long, and here comes these 81,000. Boy, has this game changed in a flash when they didn't give that turnover to Virginia Tech.
Little early on the movement for Eric Martin, who was the starting tight end and just trying to come back from injury. And Eric,
you know, though, he almost got away with it because he was running sideways.
False start. Offense, number 54.
but then he gave it away and stopped.
His angle was just enough towards the line of scrimmage that it wasn't a shift. It was a move towards the line of scrimmage. But if Martin went flat and drew them off sides, that may have been a brilliant play.
It's one thing to start a half a count early. It's another thing to start a couple of minutes early.
Depends on what you're talking about.
Now it's 3rd and 19. Thomas has to scramble. Good defense by the Tigers. Forced him out of the pocket. Xavier Brewer came from the corner and relentlessly chased Logan Thomas until he got him at the 22. Really good series for the Clemson defense there. It's exactly what you want after you score and take a 2-touchdown lead, just to shut the other guys down. Hughes to kick to Humphreys, who waits at his own 42.
Not a shock of Clemson after that bad snap in the first half, coming after it, looks like. Oh, boy. Things are just going from bad to worse for the Hokies.
It's a very young team, and sometimes
Delay a game. Offense, number 27. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Sometimes when the pressure is on, the young guys don't react as well as you'd like. This could be the 4th loss in 8 games for Virginia Tech. Highly unusual for this program. They win 10 every year. Nice punt this time. Humphreys driven back to the 39-yard line. Midfield, 47 of Virginia Tech. Well, these teams met in last year's ACC championship game that was in Charlotte. It was 10-10 at the half, and then Clemson struck hard and fast in the 3rd quarter. Taj Boyd to the departed Dwayne Allen for an 8-yard TD. Then Sammy Watkins for 53. Then Andre Ellington went 29. 3 touchdowns in just 4:24. Clemson went on to win it 38-10. That was the 2nd time last year that they were able to beat the Hokies at Virginia Tech. They're trying to make it 3 straight here. Watkins on a little toss. Took a shot as he got to the 39. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, after that last TD score, Dabo Sweeney went up to his quarterback, Taj Boyd, and said, that's all you got to do. Just relax. Don't force it. Just let it come to you. You know what to do.
And Janine, he did on that last series. This time he'll keep it himself, trying to get to the 1st down sticks just outside of the 37th. Very close.
And it's one of those things with Taj Boyd that's a positive thing when he starts getting down on stuff, because he is so conscientious about what he does as a quarterback, how he is as a leader. And so he starts to get down on himself a little bit, but that's good coaching. Just get him settled down. The guy has really good ability. He has some of the best players in the country around him.
Hopkins, what a catch, touchdown. And not a bad throw either, Ed.
No.
37 yards in stride. Hopkins, who had been shut down the entire ball game, makes a statement there. He came into this game 2nd in the country in receiving yards, 777. And hadn't done much thanks to a good Virginia Tech secondary.
And may have gotten away with a little push there while the ball was in the air. But that is 2 outside high throws, meaning put air under the ball, that Taj Boyd has thrown absolutely perfectly. Hopkins was covered very well by Kyle Fuller, but watch early on about the 15-yard line. Hopkins right there used his left hand to push off, and because the official is in perfect line with his body and Fuller's, you can see the left arm. He had just pushed off on Fuller. The timing of the push was perfect. The official couldn't see it, and even though it's a penalty, perfect timing by a veteran receiver who understands the ball's in the air where the official is positioned. He can't see this because he's in perfect line with my body, so even though he gets away with it, you rarely see that call. If you're going to get a little push on offense, do it early in the throw, and that's exactly what Hopkins did there.
And all a guy like Hopkins or Watkins needs is just a little separation, half a step, it's over.
Fuller is in Hopkins' hip pocket that whole route, and then on the 15-yard line, all of a sudden, there's 2 yards of separation. Great timing. And I'm sure Frank Beamer and his staff can maybe send that along. But again, the official, he's in perfect position. He's got the pylon.
Yep. And
because the defender is between them and the ball's coming, it was just perfectly timed. You can't see it.
And the route may be on. You just wonder if Virginia Tech would have what it takes right now to get 3 touchdowns in 1/4 and 50 seconds. Aerial coverage being provided today by the MetLife Blimp. See how MetLife can provide the coverage you need. MetLife, I can do this. Beautiful day. Just absolutely perfect.
One of the prettiest places in the country. Rolling hills. We're down in a valley here. To me, this is still the steepness of this stadium when you pull down in the valley is just breathtaking, especially that upper deck.
Thomas short arms the throw out to Holmes, makes 1 man miss and picks up about 7. Yeah, I think if you're sitting in that upper deck, you really want to see this game in person.
When you look across the field at the upper deck, it looks like they're going to start falling out one at a time onto the field below. I played here when the Carolina Panthers made this their home when I was with the Cardinals, and I remember running out on the field. And at the University of Washington, we have upper decks similar to this, but they're not even close to as steep as this.
Thomas runs the slant to Fuller, and Corey Fuller fighting his way to the Clemson 45-yard line.
Now, Corey Fuller, of course, you mentioned that his brother, a bunch of brothers that played, but Kyle Fuller was the guy who got pushed off on his brother a little bit earlier on that touchdown. So the 2 Fuller brothers, Corey and Kyle, been working very hard together.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter here at Clemson. The Tigers have taken a 3-touchdown lead on the Hokies. Welcome back to Death Valley, where Clemson has extended its lead to 31-10 as we start the 4th quarter. Virginia Tech trying to cut into that lead there at the Clemson 45-yard line. 1st and 10. Thomas now chased from behind. Malachi Goodman. Malachi Goodman is a guy all year. He has not made any mistakes, but he has not made any big plays. They just want him to be more aggressive and go for it. Today may be the sign that he's doing just that.
Nice rush against Vincent Painter, but this ball needs to get out. A good finish by Goodman. Don't take anything away from the effort, but if he has to run that far around to get to the quarterback, ball's got to be out.
That is one of the problems that Logan Thomas has had as a quarterback. He tends to not have that clock in his head that says 1, 2, 3, got to go.
In the first half, he did. Remember, in that situation, first half, he'd have put his foot in the ground and been 6 or 8 yards down. And now Virginia Tech, conservative call on 2nd down. I think you just got to be throwing this ball almost on every down. And I think you need to go into your hurry-up mode right away.
The Hokies have to reach the 35.
And I think it's 4-down territory as well.
3-man rush. Thomas to the 39, so it'll be 4th and 4.
Yeah. And so at 4th and 4, because you got the positive yardage, now you have the quarterback draw. You can run the zone read. So this opens up a lot. Nice job by Logan Thomas to at least get positive yardage here on 4th down. I think some kind of quarterback run would work here.
Got to try to keep it alive. They've been very successful on quick slants, too, to Roberts or Davis. Blitz coming. Got rid of it incomplete. For the second time in the second half, Xavier Brewer comes off the corner and put his shoulder pad right in the belly of the quarterback.
And this was just blown protection. I'm not sure who didn't see it or who didn't change the line protection, but there was 4 men rushing, and one of them came free. It looked like a blitz, but it was not. Blown protection by the Hokies.
.13:05 to go in the ball game. Clemson at its own 39. Boyd on the option.
And let's go back to that.
50 is Howard.
Sorry, Mike, but you had a tight end and a running back to that side. Clemson only rushes 4. Nick Becton, a senior left tackle, comes all the way down inside. Most offenses I was in, that's the quarterback's call to adjust that. But you can't have 2 guys over there, 3 guys basically to block 2, have 2 of them release and the tackle go down and have someone run free. Again, a lot of problems for this Virginia Tech offensive line, a lot of young guys. But that's got to go to your quarterback to say, switch the protection. Who are we sliding to? Because obviously they were sliding to someone who wasn't coming while leaving a guy completely unblocked, even though they had a tight end and a running back to that side.
Second down, call it 7. Watkins in motion, they fake it to him. And then Boyd goes down again, sacked by Luther Maddie. That's his second of the ball game. You know, you got to love that motion, bringing Sammy Watkins past the quarterback, because it draws everybody's attention.
It freezes you.
Exactly.
And it's that half a step. That's all you need in this offense because you're so spread out. That just half a second of thinking, does number 2 have it or not? That can be deadly.
Pressure coming again. Boyd down. That time it was Bruce Taylor, the middle linebacker, who shot the gap straight up the middle.
Working on the left guard. Taylor, and Boyd comes up holding his right arm. That's not a good sign, obviously, for Clemson. But watch Boyd. And it's a play action, and they were trying to get the guard over to block him, and Boyd landed right on his arm. And that is that injury. You remember a couple of years ago when Sam Bradford from Oklahoma landed on his elbow and jammed his shoulder up into his arm, and he was never healthy his last season at Oklahoma. That looked very similar.
Holmes makes the fair catch inside the 40. We'll keep an eye on Taj Boyd, a key piece of this explosive Clemson offense.
ESPN College Football is presented by New Pink Lemonade 5-Hour Energy. Great new taste, same great energy.
This is Tillman Hall, the landmark building on the Clemson campus. And good news, we think, for the Clemson faithful. It looks like Taj Boyd is going to be all right. He was being attended to, of course, on the sideline. But he was up and throwing the ball, and it looked like his motion was fine. Didn't look like he was in any pain. Thomas goes back to work and throws complete to Marcus Davis. And let's go back to that hit on the quarterback.
And this was pretty bad protection by Clemson as the center, Dalton Freeman, came over a little bit late, and Taj Boyd landed right on that right elbow, which jams your arm up into your shoulder. You could get some damage up in there. And I mentioned Sam Bradford. I know they think he's fine, but at this point in the game, I'm not so sure I wouldn't ice him up and sit him down and get Colt Stout, the second stringer. And he didn't look like he had any pain when he was throwing. You can see his face, no grimace, but why risk it? I think this game is in hand, even if Virginia Tech scores here. You've got enough guys on offense, and Colt Stout not quite as athletic as Taj Boyd, so you lose the run game of your quarterback, but you need a guy to play for you at some point. I think this might be it.
Second and a long 3 for the Hokies of Virginia Tech. Michael Holmes, the tailback, and he'll get it on the delay. Holmes first down. Taken down at the 34. There's a flag, maybe a face mask on top of the run. And Holmes a little slow getting up.
Yeah, they're going to get Xavier Brewer at the end.
Brewer's the guy who's had a couple of sacks on corner blitzes.
Personal foul, grasping the helmet opening on the defense, number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You remember the conversation we had about what you can and can't do on the helmet. They're getting Brewer for grabbing the back part of the helmet and pulling him down. And right there, you can see his hand is up underneath the ear hole. So that is a wonderful call. You can put your hand on the helmet. If you can palm the helmet, you can put your arm around it, but you can't reach up underneath any of the openings, including the bottom, and pull down the run.
Thomas, touchdown.
This game's not over.
The middle was wide open.
I thought for a minute there Thomas was going to pull up and throw, and I'm thinking, no, you should probably just go ahead and walk in. There's nobody home.
I don't think he's ever had an easier run for a touchdown.
That's exactly what Virginia Tech needed if they have any chance of getting back in this, was a quick score.
Well, it took them only a minute 13, had to go 61 yards. They closed within 2 scores and loads of time left. 9:52 to go in this game, so it is far from over in Death Valley.
Monday.
Not every game has a happy ending, but every Tuesday on ABC does. TV's most fantastic comedy comes to Tuesdays this fall on ABC. Have a fun night stand with happy endings, premiering this Tuesday, 9 Eastern, 8 Central on ABC.
Clemson worried about a happy ending for Virginia Tech, which may take an onside kick. Notice that you have 6 guys for Clemson up on this return because they don't want something being kicked 10 yards and not being able to recover it.
Abbott to kick. Well, you're going to work on special teams the week you play Frank Beamer's team, that's for sure. Clemson will take a knee and start from the 25. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. We told you about all the Clemson Tiger weapons to start the ball game. The fact that they had the ACC leaders in 3 categories. Boyd, thanks to a big second half, 160-yard passing. Ellington, the ACC leader in rushing has 94. Hopkins now with 68 yards, and Sammy Watkins, we're trying to get him going. He has 84.
And I know that the game is down to 14, but with Taj Boyd in there, and Virginia Tech has been able to get pressure on him both with their 4-man rush and blitzes, I'd be awfully worried about him taking another hit on that shoulder.
Keep it on the ground. Sometimes for an offensive coordinator, especially a guy who's had so much success in this kind of offense, it's tough to kill time on the clock.
Yes.
You want to go, go, go. That's your natural rhythm anyhow.
Well, and Chad Morris, he says anytime we try to slow it down, we start making mistakes because guys have to think about what they're doing instead of just doing what they've been taught.
Boyd will keep it himself, gets to the outside. Taj Boyd forced out of bounds. They'll mark it at the 34. Here's Janine Edwards.
Well, guys, this week, Chad Morris reminded his offense of where they were 2 years ago, 85th in the nation, and they'd struggle to put 2 first downs together. Half of this group was there for that 6 and 7 season. The other half doesn't know what that feels like. He told them this week, stay humble, keep striving, don't be content.
And Janine, people should be reminded where Chad Morris was 3 years ago. He was at Lake Travis High School in Texas. outside of Austin. And 1 year at Tulsa. Now he's the highest paid offensive coordinator in the country.
And very conservative call. And it's funny that you hear a Clemson crowd booing an inside run play, because for many years that's all Clemson ran was an inside run play. But that tells me that because of Taj Boyd, potentially the injury, and that he has not played well, that's Chad Morris saying, we just got to get a first and keep this drive going. And down 14, all of a sudden, you're deep in your own territory. You've got to punt it away. 8:39, your ball game's still in the mix here.
And Frank Beamer mentioned on our phone call with him, you know, we got to play good on both sides of the ball. And we have to play good on special teams. If we make a big special teams play, might make a difference in this game.
What would a blocked punt do for momentum in this game right now? And there are a lot of white shirts huddling around where the ball is, and only one deep, which makes me think they might be bringing a 10-man rush.
And you bet Spencer Benton, the punter, is going to get an earful. ESPN College Football is available anytime, anywhere on your computer or mobile device via WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Great way to follow everything that's going on. Middle of the season, still a lot of balls in the air. I think this is a big moment in the ball game. I mean, you got to make decisions now. Do you come after the punter? Do you make them go max protect and maybe get a good return?
Yeah, I think I'd go full out rush here. If we sneak one, great. If not, maybe they get broken up enough in their coverage that we can find a seam.
Benton just got it out of there. And they'll start from the 24-yard line. Good kick by Benton under pressure, 41 yards, no return. Tech gave him a rush, but didn't get there. Good performance by Clemson on special teams. Aerial coverage provided by the MetLife blimp. See how MetLife can provide the coverage you need. MetLife, I can do this. Can Virginia Tech do this? Down 2 scores, 8:17 to go. Pressure coming. Complete pass will pick up maybe 7. The catch by Davis. The tackle by Gary Peters.
And here goes Logan Thomas very fast. They're going to have to go fast the rest of the game. They do have a fastball offense, so this doesn't necessarily have to be kind of into the game. They have their entire offense available when they're going fast.
Coleman.
I just don't think you can run the ball much, though. You just can't. I mean, you haven't popped any big runs. You know the ball's likely going to stay in bounds when you run it from the far hash and you run a toss sweep to the right. If you're down 2 scores, you can't be calling a toss sweep there, I don't think.
Clemson's got the speed to go sideline to sideline.
Yeah, and look how much time is now starting to melt off that clock.
Quarterback keeper just trying to get the first down, and they do. Up to the 37.
And just watch that clock. Every second, you know, if a guy makes a catch that's a no-yard gain instead of dropping it, little things like that start to add up when you're down 14. They add up the entire second half, but especially now that you're in the 4th quarter. This is just taking entirely too long, I think, for Cal.
As soon as the chains move, the game clock starts again. We approach 7 minutes in a 2-possession game. This could be a double pass. And it is, and it's picked off. Brewer! Xavier Brewer to the 9. There is a flag at the 31-yard line. An ill-advised pass that was just up there for anybody who could get to it. And Brewer was the guy who got to it.
Following the interception and during the return, illegal block in the back, number 91 of the intercepting team. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
You remember earlier in the game where they threw a backward pass? I think they were trying to run this play.
I think you're right. But I think the problem is it takes forever to get set up. And you run a conservative run play the play before. Then a quarterback sneak, start using too much time. And then you go to a play that's a specialty play that takes forever. Virginia Tech, to me, feels like offensively, just let Logan Thomas do this. If you don't trust the guy to stand in the pocket and deliver some strikes, you know, what kind of offense are you trying to run?
and you're asking a wide receiver to throw the ball halfway across the field on a trick play.
And you're playing against a defense in Clemson that has not been very solid this year. You've been getting okay protection from an offensive line that is banged up and bruised. It just seemed like they overthought it a little bit on that possession.
And now Clemson will be happy to take its own sweet time.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
6:27.
I think you're okay with a couple of mistakes because you're going slow at this point.
Yes.
For Clemson. It's just no reason.
Yeah, you can afford it.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't get anything, you're accomplishing something. Humphreys was the man in motion. Boyd will keep. Got a good block. Boyd down to the 25. And Martavis Bryant, wide receiver downfield, gave him an extra 10 yards.
And here is why you do not have Taj Boyd in the game right now. He landed right on his right elbow. And I'm just surprised they're calling quarterback runs after that sack. Watch the right elbow. That's the exact same way that he fell on that sack. And watch when he gets up. He was a little tender as he got up. I think you're risking this young man's health by leaving him in the game and having him run the ball when you're up 14 with 5:45 left to go in the fourth quarter. You've got to get your backup there.
So first down near the 25. They'll give it to Ellington. He dives forward. Now 5:37 to go in the game.
Because sometimes those injuries, because of all the adrenaline and you're in the game, you're sweating, you don't feel them as much. You have more endorphins in your body. Then you go home tonight, you lay down, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you can't raise your right arm. And don't be surprised tomorrow if you read that he's on the injury report, and come Monday or Tuesday maybe has to miss some practice time. That's the second time that he's landed directly on that elbow that jams the arm up into the shoulder side.
12 seconds on the play clock. They're trying to take as much off of every one of these as they can. Well, he runs the option, keeps again. Gets hit hard. Goes down at the 18. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Mike, AT&T All-American Player of the Week nominee. Let's go back to Thursday and number 3, Oregon, all over Arizona State. Kenyon Barner, a big reason why. 16 carries, 143 yards, and 3 touchdowns. You can text VOTE to 34763. Results announced Thursday on ESPN. Mike.
Robert, that last play was the 16th carry of the day for Taj Boyd. And based on your comment, a very strange call. And here he goes again. Boyd inside to 5. They're ripping at the ball. It came out. Clemson says they have it. They're saying Boyd was down. Well, we had 2 controversial calls in this game.
Watch as Boyd spins around. It's in that. The ball is in the right arm, which to me I think is the injured arm. That ball's coming out. That ball, I think it's out just the same as it was with Sammy Watkins. That's Exum doing a wonderful job raking at the ball. That, again, to me.
Going on the field as the runner was down. The play is under further review.
And the ball was recovered by Clemson in the end zone. And because it wasn't 4th down, that'll end up being a touchdown for Clemson. If they, in fact, overrule, that's a fumble. It didn't look like the only part of his body that may have been down is his left elbow. If the elbow hits the ground before the ball is out, no, that's a fumble.
That would be interesting. So if you're for Virginia Tech, it's not a question of getting a turnover. You're actually hoping.
Touchdown or the 1-yard line. Yeah. And because the ball went into the end zone on its own, because of the momentum of the ball took it into the end zone, the ruling should, I believe. And that was a close one, just like Watkins. But when you looked at it from the other side, just like Watkins, no part of Boyd's body was on the ground before that ball comes out.
And you saw Antone Exum, number 1 for Virginia Tech, celebrating because he reached in and ripped the ball out. It was a heck of a play on his part.
And that ball is, in my opinion, out before they hit the ground. And remember, the rule says indisputable video evidence. I thought Sammy Watkins was indisputable. That looked like a turnover and was a huge missed call in my opinion. This one a little bit closer, but I still think it's indisputable the ball came out. Yep, and it would have been the left elbow because the hip's not even close. So that ball, very good look right there as we zoom in that is a fumble indeed.
And I go back to what I thought was one of the biggest plays in this game, and that was the sack
Logan Thomas
on Logan Thomas that I did not think was a sack.
Yeah, you called that real time. I thought maybe the forward progress stopping the play was the right call, but when you look at the replay, you could almost call every quarterback stopping their forward progress if you're going to call it like that.
Exactly. Brandon Thomas is hoping they rule it a fumble because if they do, the left tackle gets a touchdown. And congratulations to him as the left tackle for being down in the mix at the goal line at the end of that run. That's hustle.
Good hustle.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
I can't figure out what they're seeing in the replay booth. That's two that they've missed in my opinion. Now, it is a bit of a help for Virginia Tech because Thomas would have had a touchdown, but still, to me, those are two misses on the replays.
Ellington, the tailback. It'll be first and goal. Boyd tries to reach across the goal line, and he is thrown back. Well, apparently he's telling everybody on the sideline he's just fine because they're not trying to protect him.
Yeah, but the adults are supposed to know when they should look out for their players. That looks like Boyd is over for the touchdown, but not only is the shoulder banged up, but now you're exposing a guy's ribs on a quarterback sneak. You're up 2 scores. The clock is running. This is awfully dangerous in my opinion.
Ellington. He didn't get in. And they didn't stop to review the previous play, which looked like the ball across the goal line.
And I think Virginia Tech maybe getting in that place, you're thinking a timeout, because if you get a goal line stop here, if I'm Clemson, though, there's no way I'm kicking a field goal. 3rd and goal, I think this is a run action pass. I think I don't think you run the ball here. I think you get Boyd out on the edge. You layer some people in the end zone or some type of maybe a quarterback draw, though I don't think you should have a quarterback running anymore, but I think they're going for it on 4th as well if they don't make it.
Boyd reaches out this time, and they're going to mark him short. That looked for all the world like the ball came down on the goal line, although his knee may have been down.
Again, though, you've got a guy whose right arm may be injured, and watch him reaching with this right arm, which could take a hit from a helmet. Couldn't tell too many bodies in the way there to see if his knee was down before the stretch. Let's see when his knee hits as he goes to stretch this ball. Down, no stretch, good call. That was not a touchdown. It was close, but I think this is the right job for Clemson. This is the right call because you're so far down, the clock's burning away. It doesn't really matter if you score here.
No, it doesn't. Boyd reaches out. Virginia Tech tries to take the ball away from him at the goal line, but the signal is touchdown.
But I think you have the potential of Taj Boyd going into next week awfully sore and potentially injured. He looks like he was just in a heavyweight fight as he comes off the field. I think he carried the ball at least 6, maybe 7 times. 6 times. Your quarterback, who looks like he may have a bad shoulder, and this does not look like a healthy guy walking over the sidelines here.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that that is not the case. Here's the touchdown play, and the ball clearly breaks the play. So the Clemson players are going to say, it's Florida State-Miami tonight. Let's go back, watch the ball game, and see if the Hurricanes can help us, because they need some help. Florida State obviously has the tiebreaker against them when they met head-to-head. But they are still in it. And for Taj Boyd, the season-high 20 carries. Now let's take a look at today's Good Hands play brought to you by Allstate.
A lot of back and forth in the kicking game, a lot of turnovers. Logan Thomas potentially trying to throw that ball out of bounds, but keeps it in for the interception. This ball just flat got away from him. He short-armed it a little bit, but the ball floated, and Meeks takes it 74 for the touchdown. And then, oddly, Virginia Tech decides to run a back-and-forth trick play when they're down 2 scores and have time on the clock. And they're asking their receiver, Marcus Davis, to throw it all the way back across the field. And Xavier Brewer's just standing there waiting for it.
And that was after they had moved it on the previous play, or the previous series and scored. Well, it's 38-17, but it's been a lot closer than that. Virginia Tech, for the most part of this game, gave as good as it got. And this one will go out of the end zone. Let's check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike, you mentioned at the top of the show that the U.S. flag was carried onto the field today by Dan Rodriguez, the Clemson wide receiver. Well, he served in the U.S. Army, and 3 years ago, 8 members of his unit were killed in one of the deadliest terrorist raids in Afghanistan. He was wounded during the attack. He saved others. For his bravery, he was awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. And then he kept a promise to one of his fallen comrades when he got home to play football again. He put a highlight reel together of his playing days. He put it on YouTube. Dabo Sweeney saw it, and the rest is history. And Rodriguez told me that he's thankful every day for the opportunity to do something he loves because of those who were willing to sacrifice their lives for our freedom.
Janine, thank you for that. We are really, really proud of that young man and all of his comrades. On Military Appreciation Day, he got the honor of carrying the flag down the hill, carried it off the bus. Had to be a big moment for him, but the whole halftime ceremony dedicated to the veterans, and it was extremely moving, honoring the natives of South Carolina who had lost their lives. And these guys simply can't get enough credit. That would be impossible.
Got to be fun for a young man to trade one uniform for the other, especially at a place like Clemson. To come here and be able to play football, what a great privilege it is for all of us in this country to take advantage of this game, and it's a lot of it because of young men like Rodriguez.
Clock running, and Virginia Tech doing the wise thing, I think, not bothering to throw this ball at this point. The #1 team in the land is on ESPN tonight. A.J. McCarron and Alabama going to Knoxville to face Tennessee. The latest chapter of the 3rd Saturday in October. It's college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN.
Well, Clemson now with at Wake Forest coming up, which is a game you would suspect they could win handily. Then at Duke, Maryland, who's much better than people think this year, coming here. NC State, and they finished with South Carolina. It was a bad day for this offense. They struggled the entire day, and they scored 31 of the 38 points. So even in a bad day, they're still capable of 31.
You're right. Even on a bad day, they're going to get theirs. They are just too good to stop so far this year. Once again, our final score here at Death Valley: Clemson 38, Virginia Tech 17. Fred Cunningham and Janine Edwards and our entire crew. This is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching. Now we'll send you back to the studio.